What one has to do to find himself sentenced to a lengthy term and thrown into a Russian prison. I'd like to talk about that today. And at the end, I'll tell you a story of a true hero of Russia, a 17-year-old high school student, well, former student, Yegor Balazeykin. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS, or lies here. Only truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. I would like to talk of serious stuff today. How Russian society has changed and how Russian people have been stripped of basic rights. Can social media posts, likes, hearts, drawings, wearing yellow and blue clothing, opposing Russian governments, in words, speaking up truth, can that land one in prison these days? Can dancing and singing land you to prison? Let me just give you a few real-life examples of what's going on in today's Russia. Let's start off easy, the likes. The social media likes. I'm pretty sure that every one of us has liked something in their lives. Well, anyone in Russia can go to prison, get a lengthy term for a like. Such like must be under a social media post for one of the following. A post must contain calls for hostility, mass riots, protesting violation of the integrity of Russian Federation, or terrorism. A post must contain a direct insult to a person or government. A post must contain authorized disclosure of personal information. A post must contain slander. A post must contain pornographic elements. A post must contain threat of murder. In Russia, you really have to watch what you like. Needless to say, a person in Russia can be prosecuted for one like, just one like that he or she, pressed under a post. Just one like. And that like, this law was created, and it has, the backward power, meaning if you liked something way in the past, when there was no such law, okay, and it was back then perfectly legal, and now it's illegal. The law was, created way after you liked. It's still considered a crime. You still go to prison for that. A person in Russia can also be prosecuted, can also be charged and sentenced for putting hard under the post, reposting a social media post, or commenting. Let me give you an example. A person likes a post in Russian social media that says, what Russia is doing to Ukraine is wrong. By liking, person breaks the law. Person justifies terrorism. According to Russian law, what Ukraine is doing to Russian troops on Ukrainian territory is terrorism. And if person publicly disagrees, that's justification of terrorism. So likes, comments, hearts, or reposts can land you into Russian prison. In Russian prisons, there's a new name, there's a slang name for people like that. The reposters. Let's move in. Talking about Russian armed forces can land one in prison. Public dissemination of deliberately false information about the use of the armed forces of Russian Federation definitely can land one in prison. telling and making posts about anything army related that doesn't goes along with the official information, doesn't coincide with the information released by Russian Armed Forces press service, is punishable offense, and it can be punished. A person who does that can be punished for up to 15 years in prison. First offense usually results in a hefty fine, and second offense, prison term. Again, if you said something way before 2022, when that law did not exist, after the law was created, it's your responsibility to delete everything you said from the public space. Otherwise, if it's found, let's say you did something in 2010, it's perfectly legal back then, 2000, whatever, up to 15 years in prison. In Russia, it's called spreading fakes. The funny thing is, this information can be true, but it's still considered fake if Armed Forces Press Service says so. Moving on. Talking about Russia's government agencies can land one in prison. Public dissemination of deliberately false information about performance of state agencies, government agencies of Russian Federation, of their powers, the provision of assistance by volunteer formations, organizations, or persons in the performance or tasks assigned to them, both in Russia and abroad. Very simple example. Let's say a Russian embassy or a consulate is not doing a good job in some country abroad, let's say Finland. The officials simply started slacking. Hey, we've had enough. We're not paid for whatever reason. And then, citizens of Russia who witness that, perhaps film, perhaps, have evidence, and they go back to Russia and they make posts in the social media saying, hey, look, Russian government agency, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is not doing a good job. They do this, this, and this. Well, guess what? Up to 15 years. First offense is a fine. Second offense, up to 15 years in prison. Yeah. Moving on. One can land it to Russian prison for calling war. In Russia, officially, the war with Ukraine is called the Special Military Operation, SVO. If one publicly says it's war, that can land a person behind the bars. Moving on. One can land into Russian prison for wearing clothing with Ukrainian flag colors. Yes. One can land into Russian prison for drawing pictures with blue-yellow colors at school and, writing underneath peace. One can also land in Russian prison for being a parent of a child that draws a picture with the blue-yellow colors at school and names it peace. Let's move on. One can land into Russian prison for singing and dancing. Well, singing and dancing in the wrong place and at the wrong time, but still. Remember Pussy Riot, anyone? One can land into Russian prison by trying to attempting to set mobilization office on fire. Not even succeeding, but just for attempting or for planning to set mobilization office on fire. Let's move on. One can land into Russian prison for refusing to take up arms and go kill Ukrainians. In other words, for dodging mobilization. Moving on. One can land into Russian prison for holding on the street in a public place a white piece of paper just like that, a white piece of paper, for peacefully protesting on a street. Solo protesting usually fetches lighter sentences, but still prison terms. But mass protesting, that's really dangerous according to the Russian law, and that's when two or more people assembly and, stand on the street. That's mass protesting. It fetches much heavier sentence. One Russian man, older man, was arrested on the Red Square for simply holding a book called War and Peace, written by Leo Tolstoy, Russian classic. I kid you not. Let's move on. One can definitely land into Russian prison for resisting arrest. And trust me, it doesn't take much in Russia to be blamed and to be charged with resisting arrest. Moving on. One can land into Russian prison for insulting feelings of believers. For example, if an atheist publicly says that God does not exist, that's enough for a prison term, and I kid you not. Moving on. One can land into Russian prison for extremism. The problem is, extremism is not defined in the Russian law books. No one really knows clearly what it is. So they can really arrest you for anything and charge you with extremism. Folks, I can continue. The list goes on and on. I started researching, and there are dozens and dozens of Russian criminal court articles. The new ones, mostly majority. The old laws were amended after the start of the war, and there were quite a few laws created before the war, but they're all relatively fresh, 5-7 years old. So I can continue, but I think you get the picture. The bottom line is, in Russia right now, there is a line that divides people. On one side, those who go along with the government, perhaps they really truly believe that what the government is doing is right. Or perhaps they just go along, to keep their jobs, to keep their pay. So no one really bugs them, so they don't get arrested. It doesn't matter, but there's one camp is people who support what Russian government is doing, and not really just doing, but where it's going, how it's developing, what it's developing into. And another camp on the other side of that line, the ones who don't believe the government, oppose, disagree, appalled, angry. And those can be thrown to prison for anything. As they say in Russia, if there's a person, we will find a criminal code article for him. I will tell you how, basically, if the Russian government wants you, they will get you, one way or another. But let me tell you what you cannot land yourself into prison for. If you steal lots and lots of taxpayers' money, on one condition, you would have to share with the right people. You would have to know it. You would have to do it not in complete secret, but you have to share, if you know what I mean. You don't land in prison for that. Let me get a little personal. I will tell you a story. A few days ago, a 17-year-old high school student, Yegor Balazeykin, was sentenced in St. Petersburg to 6 years in prison. The high school student was found guilty of attempted terrorist attack. After the death of his uncle in the war with Ukraine, a Russian officer, he allegedly tried to set the mobilization office in St. Petersburg on fire to protest against mobilization. He tried that twice, and both times he failed. So he attempted to set the mobilization office on fire twice, and twice he failed. Well, he was caught. The judge sentenced him to 6 years in maximum security prison, despite Balazeykin having a chronic liver disease, and despite he just attempted. He failed. He didn't do it. He was trying to. Despite he is still a high school student, despite he has clean criminal record, he's not a troublemaker, he's a good kid. Despite of all that, Yegor Balazeykin was sentenced to 6 years in high security prison. I would like to tell you, to quote Yegor Balazeykin, I would like to quote his last word. He said in court, it was addressed to everyone, it was addressed to the ones who sentenced him, and it was addressed to people, his family and people who love him, and people, I think he addressed to all people of Russia. I quote Yegor. My dearest and closest relative, my mother, asked a few minutes ago for an acquittal for me, and I heard her. She said everything absolutely right. I disagree with one thing. I'm not asking for an acquittal for myself here. I have nothing to justify myself to and to no one. I justify myself to my soul, but my conscience judges me. They were people in this room who accused me and judged me and sentenced me. I don't want to blame anyone here, and I can't. You all just need to know that we will set everything square in the afterlife. 6 years or 8, it doesn't matter. A number of people, when I was still at home, in the so-called freedom, explained that I should be patient a little, wait out, and everything will be fine. All of us, Russians, will be fine. All kinds of people told me that. The educated, the uneducated, the good, the ones with conscience and honor, everyone told me that. My parents own an old house. It's old, fallen apart. I kept trying to figure out what is the relationship between the bombed Mariupol and our old house. They explained me, it'll take some time. It'll take more time. We will finish and everything will be fine for you. I'll be able to live in a new house, a 3-story cottage with my parents, but if I know what kind of foundation the cottage will have, will it be acceptable for me as a person? Will it be permissible to renovate cities, open some sports centers, stuff like that, when the price for this? Life. The date of February 24th, it seems, should be some kind of a new foundation for me. It's more important to me than my birthday now. I will serve a prison term now. Let's say about 6 years. I actually understand what I'm going to be behind the bars for. I am really guilty of something. I am to blame for my indifference shown then. At today's meeting, it was said, at first I supported it. When you don't care, you already support it. And I really didn't care back then. I'm not lost in this pseudo-patriotism. I didn't have that. But I didn't care. And it's worse. They reacted to me in the same pretrial detention center in different ways. good or bad, but for me, even negative is better than nothing, better than indifference. I want to speak of my family. Had I known what would have happened to me, to the people closest to me, then on February 24th, it would be absolutely natural that I would start doing something. I would not have stayed away then. I would approach my parents and say, we're all together now, our whole family. No one can separate us. But in a very short time, in 6 months, we would go together to bury Dmitry, my uncle. I won't talk about my uncle much, and I'll explain why. He was a real officer, and he didn't have so many stars on his shoulders. But with people with many stars who are around me now, who have big stars, I even hate to call my uncle's name. Let Dmitry be a real officer for me. And these people will be just nothing more but stars on their shoulders to me. There was no place for the officer, my uncle, in modern Russia. There was a place for him in the assault squad, among the stormtroopers, among the cannon fodder. I can't say otherwise. Was there no other place for him in Russia? If you love and respect me, I will ask you to do just one thing. Not for me, not for anyone, for yourself. When you are alone, when you talk to your heart, ask yourself just one question. The question is, do we still need this war? I unquote Yegor. Yegor, I heard you as many thousands of people have, both in Russia and in foreign countries. I want to tell you that I speak to my heart every single day. And I know the answer to the question that you ask. You might be behind bars right now, but you're not alone. I love you and I respect you. I am honored that I read your last word. To me, you, the 17-year-old high school kid, a courageous young man, a beacon and an example. Thank you, and may God be with you, protecting every step of yours. Your name is written in the history of my country, Russia, that I know and I love. And you are its hero. You know, I know that many Ukrainians now hate Russia and Russians. When I spent so much time in Ukraine. I traveled dozens and dozens of times. I spent over 1 year living in Ukrainian cities, in Odessa, in Kiev, in Zaporizhia, Kharkov a little bit. And you know, in my time there, I did not see one single person who hated Russians. I did not see one Nazi. I didn't see, it was just a good country, good people, very similar to the Russians. And now I understand that there are many people who hate Russia and Russians. There are many regular people and even some bloggers on YouTube and internet. And they make themselves very loud and clear. I don't judge them. I don't blame them. I understand their reasons perfectly well. I'd like to address them right now. The country that you hate is not called Russia. And the people, they're not called Russians. It's a mutation. The country has mutated for some tragic reason, taking many people along with it. But there are some true Russians left. 17-year-old Yegor Balazeykin is one of them, one of those remaining true Russians. He's strong enough and right enough to remain healthy spirited, to remain good. He has not lost empathy. He has kept his conscience. He has Russia, my Russia, the country that I know, that I love. He has that Russia in his heart. Do not hate Yegor Balazeykin. Do not hate people like him. Because they are courageous and strong enough to stand up and fight and even to go and serve time behind the bars. They are big enough to preserve true Russia in their hearts. Don't hate them. Please praise them instead. Thank you. Folks, this is my message for today. This is it. Let me turn on the live stream chat on, but honestly, I don't know how it's gonna go. If you have anything to comment, anything to ask me, just, please shoot. Live stream chat is on. Thank you so much, the mods, for coming back. The best moderation team on YouTube: Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potter, and Amir Fazad. Thank you, friends, for always, having your shoulder so I can, опереться. I can rely it upon. And the usual suspects, thank you so much for coming back. I had a few tough days. Could not stream. My son has been sick. Sick. I don't know, yes, he has got bad flu. Thank you, friends. Again, thank you very much. So I notice your comments and messages easier. Please put them in caps and put Inside Russia after them. That makes so much easier for me. Thank you. So we have the usual suspects. Thank you. Great to see everyone. I'll just jump into the questions, if you don't mind. How's Michael? Michael is recovering. Thank you. He's better. He's this bad flu, but he's, I'll tell more about that in a private live stream chat, private live stream that's coming up on Saturday for sponsors and patrons. I missed last Saturday. It was real tough. I was just sitting right next to him and basically just holding his hand, So he's good. He's all is well. David Porter from Chernovtsi, howdy. Total madness continues. That breaks my heart to know. It's gonna be 2 years soon. Who would have thought? Who would have known? I wish you all the best. I wish you safety. That's, I don't know what else to say. Daniel McInnes, thank you so much. Excellent stream. Hope, pray for Michael. Thank you, Daniel. Many people prayed. And I guess it was my time to receive prayers for something, I asked for. Thank you. He's recovering. He's well. He's not feverish anymore, and he's not at school for a few days more, but the worst is over. Andrew from South Africa, howdy. Atomic Electron, I don't know how this new country is called. Putistan is not the right word. It's not that easy, because guess what? Putin's gonna go soon, but the country will stay. People will stay. You can change propaganda. You can change. You can change colors. You can change, official messages coming from the government. But how can you change people? Lots of people ask me, we hope that we hope that you go back to Russia soon. I sincerely don't understand how I can do that, how I can face people who have supported the war with Ukraine, who were silent, who didn't do much, who were paying taxes, who were just even living as nothing's going on, everything's fine. And in Moscow, if you go to Moscow now, you will find just that. People living their lives. Nothing's going on, as if there's no war, as if people don't die every day. Now, I don't really see myself living among them. I'd rather live in Uzbekistan. Jodes Rames, thank you so much. Silicon Curtain interview was great. Somebody in the comments said you look like Lavrov. The fudge. Yeah, I really look like Lavrov, Yeah. Thank goodness they didn't say I look like Putin. I really enjoyed speaking with Silicon Curtain's host, Jonathan. He's a great guy. It's intellectually pleasing speaking to him. Okay, so he's fantastic. I'm gonna make a community post channeling people to go and check it out. It's on a channel called Silicon Curtain. Atomic Electron, thanks for being a sponsor for 8 months. Adricon, that the same circle of people will continue to run things, sadly. If lucky, that see the war is unprofitable. Sorry, okay. Not the biggest problem. It lays deeper than that. What if there is a different circle that takes over power and runs Russia differently? Differently, I mean, stops the war with Ukraine, withdraws troops, pays reparations, makes a peace treaty with Ukraine, and starts acting fairly normal, okay? What's then? Still, what to do about people? People, your neighbors, okay? People that you grow up with, people that you know, people, just strangers, people you meet at the store, people you go and sit right next to when you watch movies. What to do about them? How that can be avoided? How can that be solved? I think that's the biggest, at least for me, that's the biggest problem, Caesars from Czech Republic, howdy friend. Wish all turns right for you. Thank you so much. Write your email, you might like it. Thank you, I'll check it out, and thanks for the support. Just Terry says, love the shorts. Hello, Terry, thank you so much. Thank you. Carmen, how do you forgive Z people? That will take time and repentance on their part. Maybe then Russia can be whole. Maybe. I was doing another live stream earlier today, the Russian YouTuber, and we have conversations in Russian once in a while, and that's the same thing the Russians were telling me, oh, perhaps after the war is over, you'll go back. And I told them, no. Said, oh, what do you think the future of Russia is like? And I honestly told them, I don't care. It's now up to Russians to fix their future. A. Cohen, thank you so much. I will definitely give Michael a hug. Alvin, howdy, mutant is a good term for the government fanatics. By the way, was really hard stream for me to make. It's tragic. It kind of gives you the essence of what's going on in Russia. Because, I talk about the economy, the sanctions. It's not deep enough. This stuff is deep. The economy and the sanctions and the society in general, I mean, the hardship can be lived with, okay? But what happens to people who are prosecuted, the rights taken away, who are thrown to prisons, that's the real stuff. Snail Jail, good evening. My first time I'm actually being able to catch the live stream. Thank you a lot for what you're doing. Thank you so much for acknowledging. That really means a lot to me. Germany, Dankeschön. KG1, so are all Russian prisoners destined to end up feeding the war machine? No, I don't think so. Well, no one really knows. I should say that. No one knows what's going to happen now. What I think, things will be quiet for some time now. Things will be fairly quiet and fairly stable and for the next 3 months until March, beginning of March. Once the presidential elections are over, well, independent. If Putin goes for another 6 years, that's one scenario. Someone else steps up and takes over the throne, that's a different scenario. But stinky substance is going to really hit the fan after March in one way or another. And what happens to Russian prisoners, no one knows. So at this point, if things do not change for them, I would say no. Not all of them are destined to feed the war machine. By the way, Putin just pardoned 2 cannibals. They had served some time in Ukraine, and they did their duty or whatever. I don't know what the duty is, but and then he pardoned 2 cannibals. I'm gonna make a video about that. Jazz Guru, thank you so much. Very thought-provoking message. Well, Janice, it was a very thought-provoking message for me in the first place, Paula W., that letter made me cry. Many young people in Russia do know the truth. Same in the US. That teen could write an amazing book. He's an inspiration for sure. Love to Michael. Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you. Amazing that the speech was, it was not the smoothest speech I've ever seen, I've ever heard, but it really came from the heart, and it really touched my heart. Came from the heart of a 17-year-old guy who's absolutely honest, who does not lie, who says what he feels, how he feels, and who actually, gets up and does things. I was thinking that I didn't, say it in the stream, but I was thinking this. At times I lose faith in Russian people. And then it comes back. But it doesn't come back by itself. It's just something happens. And people like Yegor, they really, really restore faith, and they give me hope. RW, howdy friend. Fantastic to see you. Thank you so much. If I were Igor's dad, I would be proud and heartbroken all at once. And I think his mom and dad are proud and are heartbroken. We made him the member of a Tashkent Breakfast Club virtually, Shiva, how come Daniil from 1420 has not been imprisoned? He is not breaking any law. He asks questions, okay? He does not state anything. I spoke to an attorney of his case. Well, attorney told me that Daniil must have spoken to attorney himself, because they really navigate that fine line nicely, okay? But the thing is, now they don't have to have a real reason. If they just desire to put you to prison, you're done. Drazila, thank you so very much. Sending my love to you from Uzbekistan. And there's a statement from Crusader Damien from Canada. Perhaps things are about to change. Moscow can't stop massive drone attacks that promised if Putin attacked civilian infrastructure. Air defense is almost non-existent. Russians are feeling the war. Russians are feeling the war. Russians are feeling the war, and so what? They're just sitting there, not doing anything, not saying anything, not standing up, nothing. Let me give you the story of my neighbors in Moscow. As you remember, drone hit a building right next to mine. If they flew, I'd say 25 yards, 75 feet to the left, they would have smashed right into my window. Okay, so that's how close the drone was. And I'll remind you, as I made streams about that, and my wife and the kids were right there, and I am still a member of the group that, we have this chat in our home, in our apartment, and we, like as neighbors, we share things. So let me remind you, and I think I described that already. Imagine 6 in the morning, or like 5 in the morning, there's a huge explosion. Everyone wakes up, no one knows what's going on. Everyone starts getting down, and no police, no emergency, nothing. And it's just pieces of drone are laying on the ground, okay? And everyone starts taking video, and everyone starts taking photographs. And you saw that on CNN, on Fox, everywhere, okay? That was right next to my apartment. It was identical tower. So they start taking videos themselves, okay? They zoom in, they see this apartment on the 25th floor has been devastated, right? The window is out and everything. And they start filming the remainings of the drone. And then 15 minutes later, police start showing up, everyone starts showing up. They tape off this area and then they keep everyone away. And then they push people away and they clean up the place, they start patching everything up as if nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, Attorney General comes out, or Attorney General's office, and they say, we would like to remind the Muscovites not to share any filmed material because it can be considered as fakes. And in our apartment building, there are plenty of people's videos that shared with everyone, okay? You just film and you throw it into, you send it into the group so everyone can see that. And then some people come out and say, hey, we would like to ask everyone to delete their videos. And some people were like, why? Well, didn't you hear what the Attorney General say on TV? It could be considered as fakes. And people were like, wait a second. What fakes? We filmed ourselves. We all saw that. A freaking drone flew into the building right next door, right next to us. What fakes? We watched and we taped ourselves. We took pictures. What are you talking about? And the people said, well, you know what? The government will let you know. Delete all that material for now at once, and then everything you need to know, you will learn from the government. Okay? Now, you tell me, Crusader Damien, how they are feeling the war. They were feeling themselves with the heat was so hot, you could feel it with your skin. And this is how they act. Anything gonna happen to them? I don't think so. The drone flies into their apartment, they're gonna say the same thing. Well, we don't know. We don't know what happened. The government will tell us because they know better. Whew. Juan Marinos, thank you so much, but believe it or not, many people who do. Maybe a sign that more good Russians will be standing up for what is right. Robert, I don't know. I hope so. At this point, I don't know anything. I just take what happens for what it is. That's all. I wish I could say, well, I hope so. I hope it's a huge sign, but I just don't know. Mama, two boys. Yes, just for the record, it's not my son. My son is 7. Another one is 18, and he is an American citizen in the United States. Is it possible nobody seems to read any posts from me on my Vkontakte account for they could get imprisoned for that? Robert, right now there's only one action that cannot, in theory, cannot land you into prison. reading information. I have not heard of anyone going to prison for that. Reading, just seeing it. Okay, so they can't be imprisoned for reading. What they can do to Vkontakte? Vkontakte it's belong to KGB. Okay, there's a certain guy in charge of Vkontakte. That's a really very, very risky social media, I would say. And this is how it works. KGB has full access to all accounts. One guy was criticizing the government about 6 or 7 years ago. So what happened? He woke up one morning, and all of a sudden he saw something really bad written in his, a post on in his account from his name, and he deleted it immediately because it wasn't him. And almost the very same hour, there was a knock on his door, and then he was arrested and charged with either terrorism or extremism or something like that. Well, it turns out that they wanted to put him behind the bars, so they requested the login and password from his account. They logged in as if it was him. They put something nasty that definitely broke Russia's law, Russian Criminal Code law article on there, and they made a print screen. They documented it. And it was too late to delete it. And the guy got 6 months in prison for that. And they eliminated either a political competitor or just a guy who was making noise. It was a small town, not in Moscow. That's how they work. Some people complain. They say, we don't even have accounts in social media, like in Vkontakte, but someone makes an account for them and runs it as if it was them. Kolya, something familiar, Dirk. Something very familiar. Joe McMahon, Michael is recovering. Thank you so much. If he was not feeling well, I'd cancel the stream. I wouldn't have done it. So thank you. Richard Montes de Oca, thank you so much for coming. Greetings, and my love is going to Florida. Tampa, Florida from Uzbekistan. Thank you. Liz Dumbrell, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed making it. Folks, I gotta wrap it up. Very tough stream today. A very tough message, I'd say. I invite everyone to pray along with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Caesar's another super chat. I'd like to ask how it's going with the interpersonal level of trust in Russia. Do Russians trust their family members, friends, co-workers at this point? And the trust is vanishing. It's going back to it's becoming like the USSR. You speak only with your mom, dad, the very trusted family members, and on the streets, forget it. People don't share anything with it. Just like in the USSR, okay? You will understand me well because you are coming from the same environment, the communist Eastern European country. So not well, and it's deteriorating. So, folks, let's pray. Thank you so much. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you for giving us this day, this week, this life. Thank you for putting food on our tables and roofs over our heads. Thanks for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that the sky above their heads is always peaceful and quiet and clean and blue. Give us wisdom to keep it that way. Give them wisdom to take over after us. Please give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that they will never engage in any wars and they will be loving and good. For now, please keep our children healthy and safe. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Please help people who have been affected. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please send angels to protect them and those who are in immediate danger right now from the airstrikes, from the drones, please send them safety. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible and capable for making this decision to stop the bloodshed. Reach out and fill their hearts and souls with love so they wake up from the lethargic sleep and they will make this decision. They will stop the bloodshed. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, and send it like heavenly avalanche to this earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country. We know them by names and by faces. Now, please have your angels get rid of them and have your angels help good people run Russia so it becomes peaceful, loving, loved, respecting, and respected. Please send safe travels to everyone who is traveling. Send help to those who are seeking for asylum, who have been moved and thrown to other places. Please help single mothers who are struggling raising their kids. God bless those who are helping Ukrainians, and please keep the Ukrainians safe who are currently under the risk from Russian attacks, missile attacks. Please help the hungry, the sick, the homeless, the jobless, the depressed, the betrayed, the ones losing their faith, the ones not feeling well about themselves and about their lives. Please fill their hearts with your love so they feel it. They feel your care, they feel your love, they feel your presence in their lives. So they feel better about themselves. They have energy, they have your help, they have motivation to make their lives better, to stand up on their feet and have a chance to have a happy, good, happy life. Thank you for allowing us to come together and pray. Please help everyone who is praying along with me right now or simply watching us pray. Thank you. Dear Lord, please answer their prayers, make their wishes come true. I would like to ask you for a few people who need your help. They are Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Michael, Paul, Brittany, Randolph, Grace Philosophy, Mr. Dean Spooner, his church, Liz, Karen, Darla, Liz Dumbrell, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Dave Strains, Susie Mailer, Vasilin Lubomirov, Kyle E.'s wife, Joseph Johnson, Rhonda McGillis, Heidi Homestead CB, Dory, please heal her body, her blood, and help her Uncle Jim, Ann Larson's daughter Hannah, Morgan L., who is recovering from motorcycle accident, Thank you for giving him recovery, and please continue helping him. He really needs your help. Terry Carter's former in-laws, Electron's family, Kurt from Colorado, John, Deborah, Bogey Berger and his sons, Sam from Kiev, Jay Spike, Jason Connor, Jenny Stevenson, Leslie Fleming's daughter, Boss Salmon, Scan Family's members who need help, Anna from Poland, Wayne, Summers 613, Mike O'Neill, Olga from Ukraine, Alexei, Paul Wright and his community, father of Viking ZX, and Jason Carney, who is not feeling well. Please send recovery. Dear Lord, thank you so very much for everything. Amen. My friends, thank you for coming. There will be another message tomorrow. As usual, I'm back to regular scheduling. And thank you for coming today. Fantastic to see everyone. You're awesome. You rock. Please say along with me as usual. Carthago delenda est.